All right, welcome everybody to this class. It's a pleasure to be teaching this class. My name is Sister Emmanuel. I'm going to be teaching this class, and I'm recording this welcome video to kind of, walk you through the process of setting up your environment. So, throughout this class, we're going to be using Windows 7 or Windows 10, or sometimes the server to be used as our environment. I will also provide you with Windows XP image, and at some point you might need to install that on your system so that we can do some lab that will not work on Windows 10 on our Windows XP image. For the sake of this class, we will just use the environment that will allow us to best demonstrate part of what I want to let you learn in this class. Now, I will be primarily using GCP environment, and I will be talking to you guys sometimes later this month. We're going to have one synchronized online session. I will send you the video link where we all connect together. We'll probably give you like a week notice so that we all can have one session online where we can connect together and go over a couple of questions that you might have to make sure everybody's good to go. Without wasting any much time, I'm going to walk you guys through how you're going to set up your environment. The first thing that you need to do is to make sure you create a Gmail account. Okay? When you create a Gmail account, you're going to need to also go over and type GCP console. Actually, you can type GCP Free Tier. And it will bring you up to this point. What you really want to do actually is to create a Gmail account and go to GCP, and I'll be sending you guys a code that you're going to use later on in the class, and that code is what is going to allow you to be able to have a free voucher, and I'll walk you guys through this process a little bit later on in the class. But to walk you guys through how to use the free tier, you follow this link and you can do the same thing on your own. You go ahead and fill your name and so on and so forth. You're going to get $200 free credit you're going to use towards some of the work in the class. In the past, Google allows you to use this $300 credit towards any VMs, Windows or Linux. But I think this year I noticed some differences that they don't let you use it towards Windows anymore. I'm not sure if that's perfectly correct, but either way, we have a backup plan. So I'll walk you guys through my own environment. I have already created an account, and I have my free trial expired, so I'm using my own credit. It's a very, very cheap environment. So I'll go over here. If you want to create a VM, go to Compute Engine, go to VM Instance, and if I want to create a VM, I will just come over here and say Create an Instance. And here, I can actually come over here and say, I'm going to call this CVF2201 just because I want to show you how this works. Alright? And I would probably give these guys 2 CPU. You can do whatever you want to do in your own case. And I will change these to Windows. Go to, on this section here, I will call this Windows Server. As you can see, we have a limited platform here. But once you select the Windows Server here, then it will populate. You get a chance to select what options you want here. Say you select a 2012 R2, all right? Select that, and I'll go ahead and select, create here on this section, and I will create a Windows VM for me. And that's my CVF2201. So while this one is still creating, you can see I already created a Windows earlier here that kind of just covers some of the stuff I want to show you. Now I can come over here and set a password. The password you're setting up here is something that allows you to generate password on demand. And this password gets rotated, I think, every 24 hours. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I know the password do rotate. So it will issue a password for you every rotation period, and this password, you want to be familiar with it, it changes. So I'm going to click this button to copy the password, And then I'm going to click RDP section here. Select the option to download RDP on your system. I'll drop it on my desktop over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and open this and go to connect. Now, I will explain why, people kind of freak out when they get to this point. When you just created a VM, even though it shows green here, the VM may not necessarily be ready for connection, and you get this kind of message. Don't worry at all. You can give it a little bit of a time and go ahead and click it again. I've had to do it sometimes like this for 3-4 times, depending on how impatient I am. But if you just create this one and just give it like 3 minutes, you shouldn't experience this at all. For the most part, it should be just fine. If you think you have issues with what you downloaded earlier, go ahead and re-download it again. But again, this absolutely has nothing to do with your connection. It's just because your VM is most likely just not ready. And as soon as it's ready, you should be able to go up there and have a connection. And see, just like that, ready to go. Here's the password here. And now I can connect to this VM. And I have this VM now created. Now, that's the first part of the exercise that I wanted to see. Here's my VM here. The next thing is, if you look on your D2L and go to materials, go to content, you would see that I put on the introduction page here, I dropped these 2 zip files that I think you guys need to download. You're going to need to click this and download it. I've already downloaded it on my system. It's going to ask me where I want to download it. And then it's totally up to you where you want to download it. You can download it on your desktop. You can put it wherever it is you feel that you want to put it. In my own case, I had already downloaded it earlier, and so I'm going to go to where my download is and then kind of drop it there. I'm going to close this one and just go to where I've got my download files. And if you're wondering how do I do it, I can go grab the other one, but let me just, for the sake of examples here, download what I have over here, so that way everybody, we're all on the same page. I just click this file. It's a rather large file. It takes about 2 minutes to download, and you can just from here grab it and then copy it into the system that where we want to put it. Alright, so I have copied the file now. I'm going to go over to where the file is, and I'm just going to copy it here. Copy. Then I'm going to go into my system here, and you see I already copied this file over here earlier on. So, but I'll do it again just for the sake of those of you guys that might be, that would like to, see that done again on a different system. Copy this, set the password again, and once this is done, I would. This part is important. Again, download it again, and it will repeat the same process. Not doing anything I haven't done already before. Connect, paste this, and then this opens up. And then I'll go over to the desktop and copy this file. And you have the file here. And I'm going to right click this and paste it here. You see the process is very, very straightforward once you get it initiated. Alright, so it's almost done now. There you go. So now I'm going to go ahead and extract this file out. And the password for this one temporarily is workshop. Again, don't forget, password is workshop. The reason we put a password there, or the password is put there, is so that you don't accidentally, open it up on your local system, because some antivirus will react to it. So otherwise, there's no problem. So again, we're going to be walking through, the Shellcode workshop here. Is a white hat. Most of the time, Shellcode is very, synonymous or very associated with something bad, but we can use shellcodes as a defense mechanism. Most of the time when you hear of it, it's often in the offensive context. So some malware use this one as a vulnerability to execute something bad on the system. But in this case, we're going to be looking at several ideas that I want you guys to understand, and how we can use shellcode to actually protect our system. Okay? Shellcode itself, you can look at the definition, is just a regular program that is often written in assembler language, and we're going to look at what something that we say about it. You can put it in memory on a Windows machine, and when you execute it, it will execute correctly. There are ways to kind of see to how that work. We're going to go into details of that later on throughout this class. So the one of the thing I want you guys to do is let's open this file. The first thing I want us to install, if you go to this install folder, there's this Python, and I'm going to go ahead and install this Python right now. Make sure the Python is installed. Remember that we are installing these on a Windows 2012. Preferably, I will have preferred to install these on a 32-bit system, which is one of the reasons I told you that sometimes we might run into a situation where we will have to leverage Windows XP. But for now, we're going to run with this one as long as it works for us. So we're going to go ahead, and the installation for this is now completed. Okay. Remember that the goal of this workshop is to introduce to shellcode. We're not trying to teach you how to develop shellcode. It's more of an introduction. There's about 5 unique collab in this particular section of the class. All right. So the next thing that I wanted to install also is this particular software. Okay. And one of the things we're going to use this one for is to help us to enhance some of the dependencies we need for our lab. And I'll cover that a little bit later with you guys, in the class a little later on. So you would see why we're installing some component and while we did the other one, not necessary. This is Win32, okay, and we're gonna run this now, and it will locate and then where Python is installed, and it will just install itself. It will do that automatically, so you don't have to worry about doing anything at that point. So that one is done, okay. And we're going to need to do some other installation as well. And this one over at the top here, I believe, that's a network assembler. Okay. It's going to use shellcode. We're going to use it to run the Python program. So let's go ahead and install it. Accept the default value for this. And click close. And one of the things you could do, so you can have the network assembler here. If you click it open, it will open stuff here. And sometimes I like to kind of configure it. You can right click, go to properties here, I like to get a bigger font. It's a little clearer. Go to color. You can change your text to yellow. Again, you don't have to do what I'm doing now. That's totally up to you. I can have a, more realistic to type and kind of put over here, so you can see how this thing got a little bigger here. And one of the things you can actually do is to type just to kind of check your to check your installation to see if there is anything that you're doing that maybe needs to be fixed. And you can see it works the way it's supposed to work. All right. So we don't have any file specified. We'll do that. We'll use that a little bit later on in the class. One other aspect of the things that I would like to also show you is our process here, Process Explorer. Agree to the Euler agreement. And when you do that, one of the things I want you to do is to show lower pane. Okay, go to the view again, and you want to show lower pane for DLL. And what that does for us is, now when I select a process here, for example, it shows me the DLL that is running inside that process. I can right click this section as well and say add column. And one of the things you do over here, especially with the option to add column, remember you can add several other columns to allow you to customize this area. Why do we care about that? It's really more about doing something that makes these tools a customized tools in your hand. So again, really, as time goes on later on in the class, you're going to choose what you really want to do. All right, so I'll come over here and I'll say, DAP step, status. We'll talk about what we're going to do with this one a little bit later. You can come over here and add column over here and go to process memory, or process memory here. And you want to make sure that your private byte is set to on, which is what it is by default. And then you have your environment. Again, if you close this box, you will see that next time when you open this, it's already saved the configuration that you have here, for you. The other software we're going to be using a little bit later on is the debugger view, and one of the tools we're going to use when we execute our shellcode, it will write debug message, and we're going to be able to leverage these tools, with it, because we're going to be used to capture our debugger message. All right, so this is the basic setup for the first part of the lab. I would ask you to start setting up this environment. I will be asking you to do some assignment that will include you to walk through this process, set up your screenshot, and post it in a Word document, and then upload it on D2L. I'm going to be grading it. This is going to be very important, but I think that's our first work for this class that I'm going to ask every one of you to make sure you do. I hope you find this video very useful. Again, make sure you set up your environment. Make sure you take a screenshot of the activity. I want to see a screenshot of your debug. I want to see a screenshot of your process DOM. And I want to make sure I see your screenshot of your network assembler here. Make sure every environment is set up. Make sure you're good to go. Thank you.